Hey, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to do just an addendum on living with chemotherapy. Um, I've actually been off the system, off the treatment for a month now, so that I could get a minor operation done, and I'm about to go back on the treatment on Monday. And what I wanted to do was just give you guys an idea of what the treatment looks like, because in the first issue, I've literally shown myself as bad as I get. There was no editing done. I just had some clips of me trying to function while I'm on chemo. Now, I'm a lot better right now. I'm more cognitive. I still don't have a lot of energy. Let's get that out there. I've put weight on. I went from 94 kilos up to 100 kilos, which I didn't really change anything other than I've stopped exercising as much as I was. So, and of course I've gone off the chemo. Now, the chemo does take weight off. It does. It robs you of weight, and it also robs you of a lot of energy. But I haven't got my energy back. I've been absolutely listless of a morning, and it takes me. Look, it's nearly 9:30. I'm only starting to get myself up and running, and I've got a mate coming over today. At some point, we're going to talk about some stuff, but it's something that you push through. Everything that's against you, you just push through and move on to the next thing. So what I might do is I might just grab a still photograph real quick and show you guys. Let me just fiddle with the computer a bit in the background while I record. Just going to plug this in, and I found on my iPhone a photograph of me with my Christmas tree of all my chemicals. What you're looking at here is the Christmas tree plugged into me. You can actually get up and move around while they're feeding it in, because what's happened is all those bags hook up to this port via a line. So all those tubes are running up under my shirt. Can't really see it, sort of goes up my groin and up under the shirt, and it's hooked up to the feed line, which is a tube about that thick. And all those bags feed into that and feed into this and into you. So what we've got here, this is the little epinephrine. This is the Foxylox. This is the what are they called? Steroid treatment that they give you, and this is the saline flush, which they push through with it to keep it all moving through. So that's what it looks like. So this and this form part of you. This and this form. I don't think it's epinephrine. I can't remember what they called it, but this is part of your treatment, and it only takes 10 minutes for this one to come in. But it takes 2 hours for this one. This is the steroids with all of the. They call it the Foxlox. I don't know what that means, but that's what they said it is. You're on the Foxylox. They just call it Foxylox. It's not its real name, but that's what they call it. So you can see I'm not in real good shape here. I'm actually in a loo. I've just been to the toilet. I've just washed myself, and I just thought I'll take a selfie in the mirror, in the toilet. So what they do is they sit you in a comfortable chair, and they hook all that up to your portacath, and away you go. And 2 hours later, they unhook you, and they hook on your little bottle, which stays hooked up to the line stays in, and they just change all that out for your little bottle in the bag, which goes in that. red bag. Oops, I'm going in the wrong direction. That red bag right there, behind the fire blanket. So that's hanging up there. That has a little, like a baby bottle in it, with a balloon that deflates, and as the balloon deflates, it pumps the chemical that's in that. It takes 2 days for it to deflate, and it pumps that chemical into your body, and that's the other half of the treatment. So they feed you full of steroids and boosters and supplements and crap, and then you got to take pills. And and then you got to take pills. And then you got to take pills. And let's stop this thing. Now, once again, I wouldn't wish chemo on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. It's not pleasant. It's a thief. It's the best way to describe it. It robs you of all sorts of things that you take for granted. And there's only one thing worse than that, and that's cancer. And cancer robs you of everything. It's even worse. So if there's one thing worse than chemo, it's cancer. Although, I think they're pretty much going through both of them. You get robbed of energy, you get robbed of your sense of worth. You can't do what you want to do, and what you got to do is push past that feeling, that denial, and do it. If you want to do it, find a way. Get out there and do it. And you'll ultimately feel a little better for having achieved something, but you don't feel any better in terms of your health, in terms of your physical health. So I just wanted to do this little addendum on living with chemotherapy as a way of every 2 weeks I go in and get hooked up to that system at the hospital, and that's about to start again on Monday. So every 2 weeks from Monday, so I'll go all through December. I've got 6 more treatments to go, so I'm going to have I'll have 3 treatments in December, 2 in January, and so it'll be going into February. So sometime in February I'll come off that treatment, and then they're encouraging me to do radiotherapy. And what they want to do is they want to shoot x-rays just under my pancreas at the intestinal wall. Now the problem with that is that it's in an awkward spot, and I don't see how they get to that spot without going through the pancreas. Now I absolutely do not want them to mess with my pancreas. I absolutely don't want anyone touching that, because I was told the chemical, like the cancer, never got through to the pancreas. They got a good occlusion, so they were pretty happy that they got everything, and this chemo was just a precaution. Now, as a precaution though, they've talked to me about doing the radiography, and I've seen some horror stories, and I've heard some horror stories about radiography in the pancreas. So I'm absolutely shit scared of it. I really am. I don't want them anywhere near my pancreas with a freaking X-ray machine. I seriously don't. Now, I'm told things have improved and blah blah blah, and there's all sorts of encouraging words coming out of the hospital, but I can't get past what I've seen and what I know about mates of mine that have passed because they had radiation done on something close to the pancreas, and then the pancreas became sick and they ended up dying. That happened. Not the fault of the people, very well intentioned, very, very careful, but it happened anyway, And I think if I'm cancer free, I should just tell them, look, I'm cancer free, let's just deal with it if I show any signs of cancer somewhere down the road, We now know what to look out for. We know now where to look for it. And there's no reason we can't just do some kind of an ultrasonic scan to see if things are there, or there's CT machines, and there's MRIs and things like that, which are much safer than X-rays, way safer. But that said, there's risk with it, whatever you do. I just want to be a husband and an income provider to my family here, to my wife. And I just want to get past all of this rubbish with my health. And I call it rubbish because all it is, it's being viewed by people that look at me professionally as a weakness, as something that you can't do this job because you're sick. Well, I'm not sick. I really am not sick. The only thing, I am nauseous, but I'm not debilitated to the point where I need to run around in a wheelchair. And if you're running around in a wheelchair, you're not debilitated to the point where you're bedridden. And if you're bedridden, you're not debilitated to the point where you can't use a laptop. I think there's something you can contribute despite what you face. You got to be contributing. And if you're on a pension and like I am, I'm on a pension. Not a pension, I'm on a benefit, but it's only an unemployment benefit, which has given me certain privileges because of my health. I've only got to look for 4 jobs a month, for example, and the jobs I apply to, I rarely hear back from them. It's like, as soon as you disclose your illness, it's like, we got 50 people lined up for this job, and you. And they're like, ha, ha, look at this bloke. All the experience, and he can kick the bucket, and I can kick the bucket, but I don't dwell on that. I don't see that as a handicap. I see that as something that makes me want to achieve faster than other people that don't have as much respect for their lives. And there's people in there that are on drugs in that list. There's people on drugs. There's people on all sorts of bloody bullshit. And they don't have my experience. And they're getting the job. And five weeks later, I see the job's advertised again. And I apply again. I get the same. Ha! We got another 50 people and you. Nah. I don't get past the first round of interviews. I don't even get to the first round of interviews in many of the jobs I apply for. I don't understand that. I can do any job I apply for. I can do it. I just need to be given a go. And I'm like anyone else. And I'm not asking, I'm not applying for bloody managing director. Maybe I should be applying for managing director. That's maybe where I'm going wrong. But I can do the managing director's job. I've got the quals. I've got all the experience to do it. I can certainly take a company through a crisis. I've done that many times. I've done that to my own detriment. I voluntarily chose to wind down my company and avoid bankruptcy. I voluntarily chose to sell out all of the assets and pay people that I owed money to. I could have declared bankruptcy. It was at that point where I should have declared, and I still would have had a house to live in. Nah, not me. I sold the house, and I paid people that I owed money to. I sold the house. I said, look, these people will stick by me, and I'll get contract work in the future out of them, and it'll all be good. You think any of those people stuck by me? Nah, not a one. I haven't had a contract. I've had one contract since graduating. One. And that came from a guy who was good for the first 2 weeks and then disappeared off the face of the earth, never to be heard from again. I don't know what you do. He paid his bill and then he disappeared. He just went off, and he's not returning phone calls. He's not returning emails. I think things have gone off the rails for him. He won't even contact me. He won't even tell me what's going on. So there's nothing I can do for a person that doesn't want your help. There's literally nothing you can do for them. If they don't want your help, they don't want your help. It's that simple. I can help that guy. I really can. I've got the skills. I can do it. The problem most people are facing at the moment is supply chain. I'm doing that with my little thing here, with my little engine, right? The only problem I've got with this right now is supply chain. And I've really gotten to a point where I don't have to rush it. Like we're in Christmas and everything's shutting down. The Chinese shut down like in 2 weeks' time anyway. And then they don't open until February. So anything that's coming out of China, it's a good bet. If you order it now, you won't get it till February. And I'm not ordering in large quantities. I'm only ordering small quantities. So I'm not a serious contender to the Chinese. I'm not. The stuff I'm ordering out of China, I should be sourcing out of junk locally. I should be bringing in piles of junk. I've got piles of junk all over the place to strip. I take people's old dead equipment and then I strip useful pieces out of it and put them into containers like those so that I can use them. Mostly I use them for outreach. The point is, even though I'm not working, I'm volunteering with CSIRO to do outreach to remote schools, and we're doing recorded video sessions with the school where I'm showing the kids how to do things like make a kite or make a spinning wheel or, do some 3D printing or whatever they want to do, whatever the exercise plan is or the lesson plan is. I can adapt whatever I've got on hand. And I can post the components out to the school and they'll be there in a couple of days and then we can talk to the teacher about how does she want to deliver it. And for some of the older students, like the teachers in Winton, it's a lot better now, but some of them are teaching 2 grades, right? So primary education is so important. If you get it wrong, you can mess someone up like I was messed up. I was messed up in my primary education. I really was. I do have a learning disorder. It was never diagnosed. And, I still aced probably grades 1 through 5. I aced them. And then at grade 5, I got full of myself and basically didn't feel like putting the work in. I really didn't. I was more interested in watching television than studying. And the television was brilliant because it taught me heaps. I learned a lot of what I'd learned. It was all wrong, of course. Television is not a good substitute for like it'll educate you and it'll educate you in the ways of the world, but it won't. It won't prepare you for what's out there. And at some point, you've got to commit to yourself. And if you commit to yourself, you develop a work ethic, and that's what makes you valuable. Your work ethic is what makes you valuable to employers. That's what I'm talking about. Your social ethics are what make you valuable to other people. So by developing a work ethic, sometimes you develop a social ethic through the work ethic. And it's a good way to go. It's if you dedicate yourself into being the best you can be. And I've always done that. I've always given everything I've got to the job, and sometimes I've stepped over the bounds and come a cropper. And the reason for that is someone else wasn't doing their job and I've just jumped in, picked up the ball and run with it. And sometimes I've had to learn on the fly, and learning on the fly is dangerous. It really is. You've got a mission critical thing in your hands and you're learning on the fly. That's that's living on the ragged edge. That's windsurfing. Where's that lighthouse in the middle of the ocean? The seas, the waves reach the top of the light, break over the island, and the wave is at the head of the lighthouse. That's surfing that kind of a wave. If that thing breaks, you kill a whole project. You can kill off a company. You can cost jobs. It's a huge responsibility. Huge. You've got to take responsibility for it, and you've got to own it. You've got to know what you're doing, or at least appear to everyone else like you know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you've got to ask. You've got to put your hand up and say, well, listen, hey, I'm in uncharted waters here. I'm feeling it out based on my experience. This is what I think. What do you think? And then you've got an opinion from somewhere else. And then you get another one from somewhere else in the team. And if you're in a team, get the team in it. If you're flying blind, ask the team for help. And the team will give you help because they don't want to lose any more than you do. So I've worked out how to trust the team. I've worked out how to get the team on side. I've worked out how to build a team that's not trusting, how to build trust in a team. And I've worked out the ones that are poison. Like there's always a poison pill in every team. There's always one poison. And you very quickly work out who that person is, who the poison pill is. They're always negative. They're always saying, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. They're good at what they're doing. Right, so that's why they're in the team. They got a role and they're doing the role well, but they're poisoning everyone else around them. And because of that reason, you got to get that person out of that role and out of the team, gone. So you get rid of the poison pill. Your team functions like a Swiss watch. They just click together. They know what everyone's thinking, and sometimes you can retrain the poison pill. You can pick him out of the situation and say, hey, listen, this is what you're doing wrong. What you're doing is you're pulling all the other team members down. I don't need that. I don't need that from you. I need to put your head down, you bum up and do your job. That's what I need, And if you can't do it without pulling everyone else around you down, see ya. I don't need you. You need to be gone. So you make that decision. You change your attitude here. I don't give a shit what goes on outside the walls. You can do whatever you like. If you want to go around your mates and say, oh, he's a cunt, right. Oh, Jesus, I said that, didn't I? Snip, snip, snip. He's a whatever. I don't mind being called that. I've been called that. Ultimately, people that are doing that are facing some kind of an internal conflict. And they're blaming me for it. Well, I've got to blame someone because it's never going to be their fault. So they're always going to blame whoever they can lash out at. And usually that'll be the team leader. And that's usually me. And I'm used to it. I take it on the chin and say, well, I know what you think of me. I don't give a shit. I just care that you get your head down, you bum up and do your job. That's it. It ain't rocket science. That's what you got to do. Get in here. And if it is rocket science, we'll get in here and frickin' we'll do it. I said a rude word, I'm going to be doing that. Look, attitude sets your direction. It sets like, even today, it's hot. I seriously am drained of energy. And I'm about to get up and make a coffee and hope to God that my mate turns up in the next 10, 15 minutes. I might give him a ring actually and find out what's happened to him. But what I think is that people often need encouragement from people in a worse position than they're in. Now, all in all, I'm not in that bad a position. I'm really not. There are people in way worse positions than I'm in. But sneeze in my position could change, blink in my position could change. And then I've got to deal with that. I'm trying to get myself chartered. No one has really given me an engineering job. I've had to go out and scavenge for whatever work I can get in engineering. It's not easy because for every job there are 50 applicants. Luckily in electrical engineering, not all of those applicants are qualified, like I am, right? A lot of them have come up through the ranks as electricians and just fallen into the engineering role without the formal training. Well, I've got all the formal training I need. I now need real work to put that into practice. And I've got management training. I've got project management. I've got all sorts of stuff financial training. I know how to build a budget. I know how to work cash flows out and work out how to keep the operation afloat on a shoestring. I've done that many times. I've done that with this. This is on a shoestring. This is on less than a shoestring. This is on a piece of cotton. Mate, I wish I had a shoestring for that. That's on a bit of cotton. That's all. I wish the best for people. I really do. I want to see people around me succeed because it's contagious. Success is contagious. If you're going forward, share it. People will come out of the woodwork when you're succeeding. They'll come from everywhere, and they won't all be good people. So a lot of them will be bad people. You're going to have to make decisions about what path you're going to follow, and as you follow that path, it's like feelings. As you go through your chemo treatment, all sorts of feelings are going to come out of the woodwork. You're a failure. Well, yeah, you failed. It's not because what you did, it's because of what the disease did to you. Get on with it. Take that on board. Yep, okay, that failed because of health. Okay, that happened. It happened to me. I was 1 foot on a plane to Germany. 1 foot on a plane to a world-leading renewables research project in Germany. 1 foot there. Had I got on the plane, I would be dead. I would have died because an aneurysm burst in my skull. The very next day, the very day I was supposed to get on the plane, an aneurysm had burst in my skull. I've got a coolant stent in my skull from an aneurysm that burst. I've had no problems from that since they fixed me, and I've actually had clearer thinking, and it's fixed a lot of problems. And then they found cancer. Well, getting on my feet with NGM, and they find cancer. Well, I just can't take a trip. I'm a failure. Well, no, I'm not, because I never gave up on the goals. I never gave up on the goal of getting chartered. I never gave up on the goal of being a professional engineer. Never once gave up on the goal of getting production of the NGM up and running and being able to take from A to B to C to D. If you give up on your goals, you fail. It's that simple. And if you don't give up on your goals, I got a double degree in engineering and IT from Griffith. There were, I think, 15 people who enrolled in that program on various tracks. Some were civil, some were mechanical. I was electrical. I was one of 3 guys that did electrical. Within a week, the 3 guys that did electrical were doing electrical with me were gone, finished. I couldn't even hack the first week. Why? Because we're doing 5 subjects a semester. It was a long semester, but you had to do 5 subjects. We're doing 4. I did 5 one semester because I needed to cram. They changed the program, and halfway through, they changed the program on me. They said, no, those subjects are no longer there. We split that into 2 subjects. So I said, well, I'm going to have to do both those subjects in order to stay on track. And I did. I did both the subjects. And one was a prerequisite for the other one, and I had to get them to waive that. I had to say to them, no, look, I've got prior knowledge and I can make that subject work. I've got enough knowledge, I'll get through it. And I passed both those subjects in that semester. And one of them I got a credit and the other one I got a pass. But my HDs went because I was freezing up in the exams, and it was because of this thing. I didn't know. I had it. I didn't know. And I'd get under stress in the exam, and my mind would just leave. It would just leave the room. And I couldn't think of even what 1 + 1 was, so I'd come up with 57 or 42. 42 is always a good answer. Now, those of you that know, and those that you don't know, you need to get onto Douglas Adams' books. Right, and that's as much as I'm going to say about that. I love Douglas Adams. He was a brilliant person, and died of a heart attack writing a screenplay. Can you believe it? he was pushed to the point where he died of a heart attack. Terry Pratchett, another great bloke, died very peacefully, and really sad to see that mind go. We're lost, but his books are there. Terry Pratchett's books are there, Discworld novels. I love them. I love the way the existential mind works. And I like to think I've got an existential mind at times. I look beyond what's in front of me. So, this is the epilogue set. I've rabbited it on for long enough that you can see that I feel better within myself. I'm about to take on the second half of the challenge. I'll get quite despondent over Christmas because there won't be a lot of work around. But it's time I went after this chartered with both hands. I'm going to fight for it. I want it. I'm going to go fight for it. I'm going to set up some appointments with the professional organisation over Christmas. I get some advice on what paperwork I need to start collecting, and in about February or March I'm going to go after my professional certs, and that's my goal. While I'm going through the chemo, I'll be preparing for that. I've parked the NGEM. I've got to apply for positions. If I get contract work in, everything else will get parked and I'll do the contract work. But look, you do whatever it takes. Right now, I'm not fully recovered from the operation that I had to fix everything. It's quite painful, I can tell you. It's very painful. And I've just had a run of issues that I thought would be solved that aren't. From the surgery was supposed to correct a lot of that stuff. And now I've been told that it could take 6 to 7 weeks from the date of the op, but they're going to start the chemo treatment a matter of 3 weeks after the op. So I've not really had enough time to heal. And I'm wondering if in the clinic we can have a discussion with the oncologist and maybe push this back a month, because I really want everything to heal up, but she's going to say, it's too much of a break for the treatments. We'll have to restart the program and you're back to 12 treatments. And so it's a toss-up between a shorter... that's all we need. Right, so what I want to do now is, I think I've been as encouraging as I can possibly be here. I'm not 100%. Don't get me wrong. My hair is starting to fall out. You can see I'm losing it here through the fringe. I shed like a dog. It just comes out in little one at a time strands, and the more I do this, the more it falls out. So I try not to scratch, because it's quite itchy too. So my scalp has gotten itchy. I actually used a different shampoo to try to soothe the itchiness of the scalp, and even more hair fell out. So I went back to the original shampoo and seems to have halted the problem, but it hasn't solved the itchy scalp. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, who knows. I talked to them about it at the clinic and so I've got an itchy scalp. Can I do without, if I've got to lose my hair, I'll lose my hair. I don't, it's least important to me. The itchy scalp's more important to solve, and the more you scratch it, the itchier it gets. Fun. Right, so good decisions. Good decisions come from being focused on goals. Have good intentions. Good decisions. Look, I shouldn't digress a little, but I'm going to. The US election. I can't believe the way Mr. Trump acted. Right, I really can't. It was like a spoiled kid that someone took a candy off him. That said, he has resources and he has the ability to, he's ruthless. He is a ruthless man. And he wielded his axe the way he knows, like bang, and he put in place something that has changed forever the way the US will feel about their voting system. And I'm sorry, but it was wrong. It really was wrong. That guy needed to respect the process and step out of the limelight. He had to give it up, and that's not something that guy has ever done in his life. He's never given up on anything, and he's literally said he's coming back in 2024. I think he'd be pretty brave to do it. I think he'd be pretty brave, unless like the incumbent is Joe Biden. A lot of respect for the guy for what he's been through, but I've got to be serious with you. I honestly thought he was the wrong guy to run against Trump. He didn't really attack the guy on any front. He just let him self-destruct, which was, in the end, a pure genius. And Trump did self-destruct a lot. As much as Joe Biden said, Trump said way more wrong things than Joe. All Joe had to do was sit there and watch the show, and wait for Trump to self implode. Anyway, explode, implode, one of them, self-destruct. My 2 cents worth. The guy should have stepped down. He should have respected the process. Got out of there, gone again in 2024. He really did nothing for the coronavirus in his country. In Australia, we reacted very differently, and at the moment, we've got a few cases in our population, and it is contained, and it only takes one careless act and it's gone again. And we've seen some stupid things. We've seen it. We've seen the hotel security scandal, the bloke that lied about where he was, the 2 girls that lied about where they were and came into Queensland with the virus and sparked the bloody whole. One of them was working in a nursing home and one of them was at a correctional facility. And sparked a whole new bloody scare about the virus and the rest of it. I don't understand the irresponsibility of people when it comes to looking after their community. If you're community minded like I am, then you pitch in, you do your bit. Trump doesn't have those feelings. Trump has only one goal: make Trump richer. That's his goal. Make me. How can I be more powerful? How can I be richer? That's what he says to himself every morning. How can I be more powerful? How can I be richer? They're the 2 things he asks himself every morning, and then he goes after it. He relentlessly, impassionately, without any regard for how the hell the rest of the people, what was it? 238,000 deaths. 238,000 deaths from the virus. And he's like, oh, well, wear a mask. Well, no. Wear a mask and stay at home and wash your hands and social distance, and if we've got to shut towns down, we shut them down. Oh, well, we're not going to ever shut anyone down. We're going to let them spread the virus. Makes perfect sense to me. The whole town can come down with it and we'll lose 30% of the population. Well, I guess 138,000 isn't 30%, To me, it's unacceptable. Well, it's 238,000 deaths. That's unacceptable. It's older people that shouldn't be dead, that have died because of ignorance. That's my 2 cents. I'm not saying he doesn't care. I'm just saying that he didn't show us that he did care. He flaunted it. He got the virus himself, and he ran around in a bloody Escalade, waving to crowds. With secret servicemen in the same car, because that's protocol. So they've got to get in with a guy that's got the virus and he's wearing a face mask. I'm sorry. He flaunted it. He really did. He was like, nothing's going to stop me. Well, guess what, fella? We're all going to stop one day. We're all going to reach that day. I hope for me it's a long way down the road. I don't know that it is. I don't know how long I've got. I could drop dead in a second. You know, like anything could happen to me. But you can see I've lost a lot of weight. I came from 115 kilos down to 90 kilos. And now I've gone back to 100. And that's just through inactivity and restlessness, and I'm not sleeping at night. You're up and down because your bowel, because my cancer was in my bowel, and my bowels are not recovered to the point where they're working the correct way. So I'm up and down all night to the toilet, and then I'm up and down all day to the toilet, you know, and I'm wearing pads because there's crap that leaks out of me, so I've got to wear bloody sanitary pads to preserve the clothes and to stop Leonie from having to deal with stuff on my clothes. So it goes onto the pad, and then I have to change the pad out when I go to the toilet. You know, like, these things are real. These things impact the way you live your life when you're on chemotherapy or when you're dealing with anything else. Now, of course, the surgery was supposed to correct all that, and it didn't. It's actually made it a little bit worse in the short term. But I've been told it can take 7 weeks, so I've just got to be a little bit more patient with it and let it all come out in the wash. That's the deal. I think that if I can encourage you, then let me encourage you. If you've got a project like this that you can work on while you cook, then work on it. If you can volunteer and do a bit of teaching while you cook, then do that. You don't have to be in the classroom. You can be on a screen like this. Say, "Hey, kids, and you can see the group. Hey!" I love working with kids. I really do. It's one of those few blessings that, like, if you're entrusted with a young mind and you've got the ability to shape it in some way, of give them the benefit of experience that you've got. I'm amazed at the number of kids in the bush that don't even know how to make a kite. They don't know how to make one. And it's something I can teach them. It's any number of ways to make a kite. And I used to make them out of, we used to have reeds in the creek, and we'd get the local newspaper, and there'd be a bit of string from the baling twine, and you used to have to peel the baling twine to get your string. And I used to have to tie those peels together to get enough bloody string to get the bloody thing up in the air. But you know, they're 12 foot long, and you just peel them. And you tie the ends of the peeled string together, a straight little twist knot, put a reef knot in them. They hang together, you know, pretty well, but I used to just put a twist knot in them, half hitch, done. Because you had to join a lot together, and then you'd wind them up on a bloody bit of wood, stick or something you had, a bit of branch, a couple of notches in it, and you just wind it on, and then as you let the string go, the kite would go up in the air. Now, we made them out of reeds, baling twine, and newspaper. That's how we made ours. And we used flour glue, like flour and water, to make the glue. It become paper mache. You didn't even need the flour, but the flour used to help it stick. So it's better if you use a bit of flour and water. And so the front would be a paper mache. You know, it'd be a sheet of newspaper, and we'd fold the ends of it over the things, and you know, it'd, because you put your string around your frame, you'd fold the paper over the string and just pat it down with a bit of flour water, and it'd stick, and then it wouldn't come off. And then you'd make the tail, and you'd have to tie the tail onto the tail, and there'd be a bit of string tying onto some ribbon. You just ribbon out some newspaper, you tie it at this end with a bit of string, and you tie it onto the stick at the end of the kite, and that's your tail, and you're done. And your kite would work pretty good. The other way you could do it was use the paper mache glue to glue each strip of paper onto the bottom of the kite. You could do that too. But the bit of string was always the better option. I don't know from where people have problems letting kids learn this stuff, but there are people that prevent kids from making, like particularly the girls, they get prevented from fiddling with machines and making kites and making little pumps and, just fiddling and learning and inventing. Making a windmill pump is the easiest thing in the world. It really is. And all you need is a spinning wheel and a drive shaft on the wheel. It's going up and down, and a bit of bamboo. And what happens is it goes into the water and it tips up and it out. And so it's lifting the water out and into a gravity fed pipe. It's the easiest thing in the world to build, and yet they'll send the kids 5 miles to go get water from a water hole. You can pipe that water in hollowed out logs. The 5 miles, no worries at all. I think it's impossible to solve all of the world's problems if people believe it's impossible. But if you believe it's possible, if you make good decisions and you do good things and you keep on swinging at your goals, you're going to get there. We're going to solve a lot of problems. We're going to work through and make the place, livable. Like we've got worry-free from pandemic, and we can kill off the pandemic. We can do that. We have the technology to do it, and we're going to do that. It's just going to take a bit of time. And there's people that's going to be lost along the way, and for those people, my prayers and thoughts are with you. I'm not intending to be one of them, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure my neighbours are safe and I'm safe. And that's what you need to be doing right now. That's what you need to be focused on. So be safe, keep swinging at your goals. I'll see you at the next video.